Hello all, welcome to Paritranaya. In this class, we shall discuss about an important topic of geography, that is the major domains of the earth. So here we need to understand that earth is the only planet which has life. So that is why it becomes very important for us to understand about the different domains of life. So human beings can live here on earth because the life sustaining elements of land, water and air are present here. If you look at any other planet apart from earth, so we do not have life sustaining elements. Few of the elements may be present and the other elements are absent, but here on earth we have land, we have water and also air, and all these things are essential for our life to sustain any life. So hence in this topic we'll be discussing about the various domains of earth and how they contribute for the welfare of the human beings. So first, when you look at the surface of the earth, so it's a complex zone. It's a complex zone which consists of three main components. So these components in detail we'll be studying later on, but at a superficial level we shall understand that the three important components on the surface of earth are: one is lithosphere, the second one is atmosphere, and the last one is hydrosphere. So lithosphere is solid portion of the earth on which we live. So the solid portion of the earth, it consists of stones, it consists of soil, etc. So all this part, it is part of lithosphere. When it comes to atmosphere, so what we find in atmosphere, we find it's a gaseous layer which consists of various gases. Okay, so it may be oxygen or it may be nitrogen, carbon dioxide, etc. So all these gases, they form part of atmosphere. Now next, when it comes to hydrosphere, so hydrosphere, it consists of water. It consists of water. So water may be in the form of what? Ice, or it may be groundwater, or it may be what? Air, moisture. So everything, it forms part of hydrosphere. So water covers a wide variety of area of the earth's surface. So it comprises water in all its forms. That is, it may be ice, or it may be water, or it may be water vapor. So we'll be discussing in detail about these various layers. First, we shall begin with lithosphere, or before beginning with lithosphere, we shall also understand about biosphere. So biosphere is a region wherein all these various domains interact. It may be lithosphere, or it may be atmosphere, or it may be hydrosphere. So all these layers where they interact, such a area we call it as biosphere. So this biosphere is a very narrow zone where we find land, water and air together, which contains all forms of life. So only a hydrosphere would not be sufficient to sustain life. Only lithosphere would not be sufficient to sustain life. Similarly, only atmosphere would not be sufficient to sustain life. So in order to sustain life, we require the combination of all the three layers, and all the three layers together, they form a very narrow zone, and that zone we call it as biosphere. So presently the place where we all are living, so it is part of biosphere. It's part of biosphere. So next we shall start with lithosphere. So as I mentioned, so lithosphere, what does it consist of? It consists of rocks on the earth's crust and thin layer of soil that contain nutrient elements which sustain organisms. So when I say lithosphere, it is the rock and soil. So together they constitute what? Lithosphere. So again, there are two main divisions of lithosphere. So which are those? One is continent and the other one is ocean basin. So now if you look at our earth, so this part, now here is India. Okay. So this is part of the continent. So the larger continent is Asia. So we are already aware of the continents. So let us just have a look into continents. So this is Asia, this is Africa, this is Europe, this is North America, this is South America, next Antarctica, Australia. So these are the various continents. So within lithosphere, the first component or the first division is continents. What is the next division? Ocean basins. If you look at any of the oceans, so here we have Pacific Ocean, here we have Atlantic Ocean, here we have Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean, any of the oceans, so ocean will be in this format. Okay, in this format. So here we have water, but here below we have what? Land area. Okay, land area. So this place we call it as basin. So lithosphere has been divided into two parts. One is continent and other one is this ocean basin. So together, continents plus ocean basins, we call it as lithosphere. Okay. So continent is a large land mass, whereas ocean basin is huge water bodies. Okay, huge water body. So the land that is underneath the huge water bodies, we call it as ocean basins. Ocean basins. Next, all oceans of the world are connected with one another. A very important point to note. All oceans of the world are connected with one another, but all land masses are not connected with one another. So what does it mean? So let us look into land mass and oceans. So here, this is Pacific Ocean, this is Atlantic Ocean, this is Indian Ocean. So in order to move from Pacific Ocean to Indian Ocean, whether there is continuous water or we have to cross a land. So if you observe here, from Pacific Ocean we can move to Atlantic Ocean, and from here we can move to Indian Ocean. So as it is globe, so from here also directly we can move to Indian Ocean. So here, without crossing the land, without touching land, we can move from one ocean to another ocean. Similarly, if you want to move from Arctic Ocean to Indian Ocean, so directly there is no connection between Arctic Ocean and Indian Ocean. Okay. But here, through Arctic Ocean, I can come to Atlantic Ocean, and through Atlantic Ocean, I can come to Indian Ocean. So from this, what we understand, all oceans of the world are connected with one another. But when it comes to land masses, they are not connected to one another. So an example, here we have a land mass that is Australia, and here we have Asia. So do we have a land continuity between Asia and Australia? No. If at all you want to move from Australia to Asia, then you have to cross through water, through ocean itself. So here we understood that all land masses are not connected with one another, but all oceans of the world are connected with one another. A very important point to note, and UPSC may frame questions on such kind of topics as well. Next, level of seawater. So very important. Now generally when we want to measure an altitude of an area, height of an area, so how do we measure? We measure with the help of what? Sea level. Okay, sea level. So generally when we say it is at a height of 100 meters, so what is that base reference point? We'll take sea level as the base reference point. Okay. So now why do we take sea level of seawater? Because level of seawater, it remains same everywhere. It remains same everywhere. Whether water is in Pacific Ocean or Indian Ocean or Atlantic Ocean or Arctic Ocean, everywhere the level of water remains same. That is why we use it as a standard reference point as 0. So whenever we want to measure the height of, for example, generally when it comes to Himalayas, we say the height of Mount Everest is 8,848 meters. So when we say 8,848 meters, so what is the reference point? Sea level. From sea level, it is present at the height of 8,848 meters. Okay. So this point should be clear. So why do we use seawater as a reference point? Because the level of seawater, it remains same everywhere. Okay, everywhere. So that is why elevation of land is measured from the level of sea, which is taken as 0. So here, out of curiosity, Mount Everest, the highest peak is 8,848 meters above sea level. So where is Mount Everest present? So often we have a confusion whether it is present in India or it is present in Nepal. So Mount Everest is present here in Nepal, or India and Nepal border. So this is Mount Everest. Next, do we need to memorize this value 8,848 meters from exam point of view? Not necessary. Approximately, if you are able to recall that it is 8.5 to 9 kilometers, then that would be sufficient. This exact value is not important from exam point of view. Next, Mount Everest is the highest peak on Earth. Similarly, we also need to know which is the deepest point on Earth. So it is Mariana Trench. Okay. So the greatest depth, where do we find? It is at Mariana Trench. So where is Mariana Trench located? It is located in Pacific Ocean. Okay, Pacific Ocean. So again we have confusion because Pacific Ocean is very large. So approximately it is located somewhere here. It is Mariana Trench. Okay, Mariana Trench. So Mariana Trench is located here, whereas Mount Everest is located here. One more important point to note here. So here we are not interested in its depth. So approximately it is what? 11,022 meters. Okay, 11,022 meters. Here, what we need to understand here is compared to Mount Everest, so the depth of Mariana Trench is more. Depth of Mariana Trench is more. So here, generally UPSC focuses on relative values. It does not focus on absolute values like how much meters. But if at all they ask a question like, so the Mount Everest height is more than that of the depth of Mariana Trench, then that will be false. So the depth of Mariana Trench is more than that of the height of Mount Everest. Okay, very important. And Mariana Trench is located in Pacific Ocean. So depth of sea is much more than the highest point. So very important point to note from examination point of view. Next, continents. So the greater part of the land lies in the northern hemisphere. A very important point to note. So why important? We have already discussed in the previous class that this is our equator. And apart from equator, we also have what? Standard meridian. This is prime meridian or standard meridian. So what does the equator do? Equator divides the earth into two hemispheres. One is called as northern hemisphere, NH or northern hemisphere, and this side we call it as southern hemisphere. So the area below this equator we call it as southern hemisphere. The area which is above the equator we call it as northern hemisphere. Similarly, with respect to this prime meridian, the area which lies to its left, we call it as western hemisphere, and the area which lies towards the right of prime meridian, we call it as eastern hemisphere. So what is the point here? Greater part of land lies in northern hemisphere. So if you look at this map, this is our equator, and if you look at the total land mass, here we have land mass, here also we have land mass. So compared to these two land masses, the overall land mass is present more in northern hemisphere. So again, very important point. Greater part of land lies in northern hemisphere. Next, when it comes to continents, generally UPSC focuses. So which continent is largest? Or it may ask us to what relative difference with respect to size, whether Africa is larger or South America is larger. So that is why we have prepared the notes in the decreasing order itself. So this is in the decreasing order. So the largest one continent is Asia, followed by that Africa. So let us try to mark them on the map. Okay, So the highest one is Asia. Asia is the largest continent, followed by Asia. Next we have Africa. After Africa we have North America, third. Next, fourth is South America, followed by South America. Fifth is Antarctica. Next, sixth is Europe. Finally, seventh is Australia. Okay, so this order is also very important from examination point of view. So we have to memorize this order. Okay, either memorize it or understand with the help of the map, but this order we should be able to recall from examination point of view. Next, we shall start discussing the continents one by one, few of the important features related to them. So if you look here, we already know that Asia is the largest continent. So Asia, which is present over here, so it is the largest continent. It covers 1/3 of the total land area of the earth. So if you land area is shared between 7 continents, but among the various continents, so almost 1/3 of the land is occupied by Asia itself. So very important point to note. Next, where does Asia lie? Lies in the eastern hemisphere. Why? Because if you look at this meridian, this is our meridian. So towards the eastern part, we have this entire Asia. So we say that Asia is located in the eastern hemisphere. Next, Tropic of Cancer passes through this continent. Very important. So in the previous class, we already discussed about Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Equator, Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. So here we shall go one step further and we shall also see which are the various countries through which they pass through. So later on we shall see. But here we understood that Tropic of Cancer, it passes through it. So here we have Tropic of Cancer. So Tropic of Cancer is approximately at 23.5 degrees north. So Tropic of Cancer passes through Asia. Through which all countries we shall see later on. Next, Asia is separated from Europe by Ural Mountains on the west. Very important. So if you look here, this is our Asia. This is Asia. This is Europe. So which is the separating line between Europe and Asia, it is Ural Mountains. Okay, Ural Mountains. So where are these Ural Mountains present? They are present in the state of Russia. So the Ural Mountains which are present in Russia, they separate Europe from Asia. And generally, the combined land mass of Europe and Asia, we refer to it as Eurasia. So what is Eurasia? Combined land mass of Europe and Asia. Europe and Asia. So we have completed with Asia. Next we shall move with Europe. So through Europe, Arctic Circle passes through it. Okay, Arctic Circle passes through it. So where is Arctic Circle? Here we have Arctic Circle. So it is 66.5 degree north. 66.5 degree north. So in this context, from UPSC point of view, we need to know which are the various countries through which Arctic Circle passes through. Arctic Circle passes through. Okay. So in America, so this is North America. In North America, Arctic Circle passes through two countries. One is USA, another one is Canada. So Arctic Circle passes through both USA as well as Canada. When it comes to Europe, the various countries through which Arctic Circle pass through is Iceland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Okay, so these are the various countries of Europe through which Arctic Circle passes through. So try to locate these countries on the map. You will get what? Much more clarity. Similarly, in Asia, it passes through also Russia. It also passes through Russia. Okay. Next, bounded by water bodies on three sides. So if you look at Europe, so on the western side we have Atlantic Ocean. On the northern side we have Arctic Ocean, and on the southern side we have Mediterranean Sea. So it indicates that Europe is surrounded on three sides by water, and only on one side it has a land border. A very important point to note. Next, Africa. So if you look at Africa, equator runs almost through the middle of the continent. So see here, we have shown here Arctic Circle. So just now we discussed about the Arctic Circle, and which all countries through it passes through, we have seen. So next, equator will be okay. So these are the various countries through which equator passes through. So from left to right, so this is what? Latin America or South America. This is Africa, and later on here we have Asia. Okay, here Asia. So equator runs almost through the middle of the continent. So this is our Africa. So almost to the middle of the continent, equator passes through. Next, a large part lies in northern hemisphere. If you look at Africa, this is equator. So if you look at the overall land mass, much of the land mass lies to the north of equator. So the large land mass lies to what? North of equator. That's why a large part lies in northern hemisphere. And very important point to note here is only continent through which Tropic of Cancer, equator, and Tropic of Capricorn, all the three pass through. See here. So this is Africa. And if you observe, it is Tropic of Cancer, it is equator, and it is Tropic of Capricorn. So all the three, they pass through Africa. It is the only continent. If you look at the other, North America, only equator and Tropic of Capricorn. If you look at America, North America, only Tropic of Cancer passes through it. If you look at Asia, only Tropic of Cancer and equator pass through it. If you look at Australia, only Tropic of Capricorn passes through it. But Africa is the only continent through which all the three, Tropic of Cancer, equator, and Tropic of Capricorn, all the three pass through. Okay, pass through. In this context, we need to know some extra information. What is that extra information? Which are the various countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes through? So if you observe here, in North America, Tropic of Cancer passes through Mexico and Bahamas. So Mexico and Bahamas. So when it comes to Africa, it passes through Western Sahara, Niger, Algeria, Mauritania, Egypt, Libya, Mali. So this is very important. So these are the countries which are present over here. These are the countries which are present over here. Next, when it comes to Asia, it passes through Saudi Arabia, Oman and UAE. So where are they located? Saudi Arabia, UAE and Oman. Here we have Saudi Arabia, UAE and Oman. Apart from that, it also passes through India, Myanmar, Bangladesh, China, Taiwan. So here we have India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, China, Taiwan. So even understanding these points is very important from exam point of view. So these are the various countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes through. Okay, passes through. Next we shall see equator passing through countries. Which are the countries through which equator passes through? So we shall again begin from what? West to east, from left to right. So it passes through Brazil, it passes through Ecuador, it passes through Colombia in South America. So where are these countries located? Here we have Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia. Next, when it comes to Africa, Sao Tome, Gabon, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia. Okay, so these countries where they are present? They are present here. They are present here. They are present here. Next, when it comes to Asia, so this equator passes through Indonesia. It passes through Indonesia. Okay. Now next question is, do we need to memorize these countries? Yes, we have to memorize, because the questions are so much pinpointed. If we are unable to memorize, if we are unable to locate properly, then probably we may fail to secure what proper marks or good marks. So that is why it's very much important for us to what? Retain these countries. Okay, retain these countries in our brain. Next, Tropic of Capricorn. So finally, Tropic of Capricorn. So again, here also we need to know about the countries through which it passes through. So here we have Tropic of Capricorn. So these are the countries of Latin America. So which are the countries of Latin America? Chile, Argentina, Paraguay and Brazil. Next, these are the countries through which African countries through which Tropic of Capricorn passes through. Which are those countries? Namibia, South Africa, Mozambique, Botswana, Madagascar. So these 5 countries. Next, finally, through Australia. So through Australia also Tropic of Capricorn passes through. Tropic of Capricorn passes through. Next, in Africa we have world's largest hot desert, that is Sahara Desert. That is Sahara Desert. Okay, Sahara Desert. So out of curiosity we need to know whether Sahara Desert is present in the northern part of Africa or southern part of Africa. So through this we will get to know that Sahara Desert is present in the northern part of Africa. And also we need to have a rough idea about the various countries across which Sahara Desert is spread. So from here we understand that it is spread across what? Algeria, Chad, Egypt, Libya, Mali, Mauritania, Morocco, Niger, Sudan, Tunisia. Okay, so this is our Sahara Desert, which is located in the northern part of Africa and spread across various countries. Okay, spread across various countries. Next, now when it comes to Africa, it is bounded on all sides by oceans and seas. Look at the map of Africa. So here what we find? Here we have Africa. To its left we have Atlantic Ocean, to the right we have Indian Ocean, on top we have Mediterranean Sea. So everywhere it is surrounded by water. A very important point to note. So such kind of questions might be asked in UPSC prelims. So it is bounded on all sides by oceans and seas. Next, world's longest river, the Nile. Okay, an important point to note. World's longest river, Nile, flows through Africa. But from UPSC point of view, just where it flows, in which continent, that information would not be sufficient. We also need to have some extra information. If you look at the 2023 prelims question paper, they have asked about the basin of a river called as what? Congo. So from that perspective, when any international important river is there, so Nile is the internationally recognized important river, we need to know about its basin countries. So which are the various countries through which it passes through, or it has its tributaries. So the various countries are Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Sudan, Republic of Sudan and Egypt. Okay, so where are these countries? So this is the representation of basin of Nile River, which is spread across various countries. And also very important point to note is, where does it terminate? So Nile River, it ends in Mediterranean Sea. So to the north of Africa, we have Mediterranean Sea. So here Nile River terminates or ends, or Nile River has its mouth in Mediterranean Sea. So very important point to note. Next, North America. Next is North America. So this part we call it as what? North America. So if you look at North America, it is linked to South America by a very narrow strip of land called as Isthmus of Panama. So what is isthmus? Whenever a narrow strip of land, a small land, if it connects two big land masses. So these are two big land masses and a narrow strip of land which connects it, we call it as isthmus. We call it as isthmus. And here a small narrow strip of land which connects North America with South America, we have given it a name, and that is Isthmus of Panama. Isthmus of Panama. Very important point to note. Next, another important point to note here is the North America lies completely in northern and western hemisphere. In northern hemisphere and western hemisphere. What does it mean? So northern hemisphere, because North America, it completely lies above the equator. It completely lies above the equator, so it lies in northern hemisphere, and it completely lies to the west of prime meridian. So we also call it as it lies in western hemisphere. So North America completely lies in northern hemisphere and also western hemisphere. A very important point to note from exam point of view. Next, three oceans surround it. If you look at North America, there are three oceans which surround North America. So which are they? Here we have Pacific Ocean, here we have Atlantic Ocean, and on top we have Arctic Ocean. Okay, Arctic Ocean. Next, South America. So mostly in southern hemisphere. What does it mean? It means some part lies in northern hemisphere, but majority of the region lies in southern hemisphere. So here we have equator. Here we have equator. Only a small part of Latin America or South America lies in northern hemisphere. Majority of the area lies in southern hemisphere. Okay, southern hemisphere. Next, two oceans surround it. If you look towards the left, we have Pacific Ocean, and here towards the right we have Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. Next, very important point to note here, Andes, world's longest mountain range. World's longest mountain range is Andes. So where it is present? It is present in South America or Latin America. But here we also need to know about the various countries through which Andes passes through. So in that context, we can refer this. So this gives us the information about the various countries through which Andes pass through. Andes mountain range. So which are the various countries? So the various countries you can find here is Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. Okay, so these are the various countries through which what Andes mountain ranges passes through, or we can find Andes mountain range. Okay, Andes mountain range. Next, also has the world's largest river, the Amazon. Okay, so here we saw the countries through which Andes is spread through. Next, Amazon, world's largest river is Amazon. So let us look into the Amazon's basin. So this is our Amazon. So when it comes to world's renowned rivers, so we need to have extra information like the basin countries. So here are the basin countries: Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia, Brazil. Okay, so these are the countries across which Amazon either flows or it has a basin. It has a basin. So next very important point here is, where does it terminate? So Amazon terminates in Atlantic Ocean. So finally it enters Atlantic Ocean. When it came to Nile, it entered Mediterranean Sea. When it comes to Amazon, it enters Atlantic Ocean. Okay, Atlantic Ocean. Next, Australia. Next, we have Australia. So here we have Australia. Here we have Australia. So it lies entirely in southern hemisphere. If you look at Australia, here we have equator. So entirely it lies to the south of equator. So it completely lies in southern hemisphere, surrounded on all sides by oceans. So towards the left, it is surrounded by Indian Ocean, and towards the right, it is surrounded by Pacific Ocean. So it is completely surrounded by ocean. That's why generally we also refer to this continent as island continent. Island continent. So Australia is the continent which is also referred to as island continent. Okay, island continent. Next, Antarctica. Now, where we have Antarctica? So this is our Antarctica. Okay, Antarctica. This is a continent. So completely in southern hemisphere. It is very much obvious because here we have equator and it completely lies to the south of equator. It completely lies in southern hemisphere. A huge continent. It's not a small continent, but it's a very large continent. Next, South Pole lies almost at its center. So we already learned about South Pole and North Pole. So South Pole, somewhere it lies exactly approximately at its center. Next, it is located in South Polar region. So this region we call it a South Polar region. So it is located in South Polar region. So it is permanently covered with thick ice sheets. So it is almost permanently covered with thick ice sheets. That is why human habitation, permanent human habitation there is impossible. Or we do not have a permanent human habitation over there. So no permanent human settlements. But many countries, what they have done, they have installed some research stations over there in order to study the climate, in order to explore the resources and all. So many countries have installed what research stations over there. So we will not be interested about the research stations of other countries, but with respect to India, yes, we will be interested. So in Antarctica, we have a research station called as Maitri, we have a research station called as Dakshina Gangotri, and we also have a research station called as Bharati. So all the three, they are present in Antarctica. So a very important point from exam point of view. Because UPSC generally focuses, it will give us a research station and it may ask us to identify where it is present, whether it is present in Antarctica or Arctica. Okay, so important point to note. Next, so in this context, Arctic region. So Arctic is not recognized as a separate continent, but in this context, what we need to understand here is we have a research station in Arctic region as well. So that research station is Himadri station. So it is present in Arctic region. Okay, Arctic region. So now we are completed with what lithosphere. Next we shall move with hydrosphere. Hydrosphere. So Earth is often called as blue planet. Why it is called as blue planet? Because 71% of the Earth is covered with water and 29% with land. And it is very much obvious if you look at this map. So if you look at the total land mass and if you look at the total water, then obviously the content of water is more compared to that of land mass. So 71% of the Earth is covered with water. That's why Earth is often referred to as blue planet. So it consists of water in all its forms. So water may be present in the form of ocean, or it may be in the form of rivers, in lakes, so in glaciers, underground water and water vapor. So in any of its form. So you might have already been aware what is a glacier, but just have a look at this picture. So this is an example of glacier. Okay, glacier. So all these various forms, they together constitute hydrosphere. Next, among this water available, close to 97.2% of water, where it is available, it is found in oceans. And if it is found in ocean, then it is too much salty, so it is not useful for human use. Okay, humans cannot use it. So apart from this 97.2, the rest 2.8%. So the large proportion of that 2.8%, it lies in the form of ice sheets and glaciers or underground. 97% it's salt water. Among the remaining 2.8%, majority of the water lies in the form of ice sheets and glaciers or underground. Okay, underground. From this we can make it out that what proportion of water is available for us to use. It may be in the form of rivers or it may be in the form of lakes. Okay, so a very important point to note. Next, hence small percentage available as fresh water for human use. A very small proportion is available for us for use. Hence water shortage despite blue planet. So even though we refer to Earth as a blue planet because of the abundant availability of water, but still we find that we encounter what? Water shortage, water scarcity. Water scarcity. Because majority of the water we cannot use. We cannot use. Next, when it comes to oceans, here also we need to have that extra curiosity. What is it? Curiosity. So in oceans we have what different types of ocean movement, water movements. So few of the movements we refer to them as tides, waves, tides, and ocean currents. So all these things we'll be discussing later on. But for time being, there are different oceans. From UPSC point of view, we need to know the relative size of these oceans. So which size, the size of which ocean is larger. Okay. So relative sizes we need to know. So already we have prepared the list in descending order of the sizes. So the largest ocean is Pacific Ocean. This is our Pacific Ocean. This entire region, this is Pacific Ocean, and here also it spreads because Earth is round, globe format. Next, second one is Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. Third one is Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean. Fourth one is Southern Ocean. So here we have a small part called Southern Ocean. Finally, fifth one is Arctic Ocean. Here we have Arctic Ocean. So this order is important. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, and Arctic Ocean. Arctic Ocean. Next, we shall look into the few important features of these oceans. So Pacific Ocean. So as we know, it's the largest ocean. And where does Mariana Trench lie? In Pacific Ocean. We have already seen. So somewhere at this point lies Mariana Trench. So it's the deepest part of Earth. Next is circular in shape. So Pacific Ocean is almost circular. Next, Asia, Australia, North and South America surround it. If you look at Pacific Ocean, here we have North America, here we have South America, here we have Asia, Australia. So all these continents, they surround Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean. Next, when it comes to Atlantic Ocean, so here we have Atlantic Ocean. So this Atlantic Ocean, almost it is in S shape. So it is also called as S shaped. Flanked by North and South Americas on the western side and Europe and Africa on the eastern side. So if you look here, on the western side we have South America and North America, and on the eastern side we have Africa and Europe. Next, coastline is highly indented and irregular. So here the coastline is irregular here. Okay, it is irregular. So because of this irregularity, it becomes very easy to build ports and harbors so that ship can land there very easily. That is why among the various oceans, from various oceans, it is the busiest ocean. It is the busiest ocean. Why? Because it provides ideal location for natural harbors and ports. Natural harbors and ports. Next, Indian Ocean. So if you look at the various oceans, it may be Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean and all. The only ocean which has been named after a country, that is Indian Ocean. So it is named after our country, that is India. Okay. So only ocean named after a country. So shape is almost triangular. Not exactly triangular, but almost it appears triangular. So here it almost appears triangular. Okay, triangular. Next, north bounded by Asia. On the north side we find Asia. On the west we find Africa. On the east we find Australia. Okay, Australia. Next, Arctic Ocean. So where do we have Arctic Ocean? Here. So this region, this is Arctic Ocean. Okay, Arctic Ocean. So located within the Arctic Circle, already we have seen about the Arctic Circle. So Bering Strait connects it with Pacific Ocean, very important. So bounded by northern coast of North America and Eurasia. So it is bounded by North America and Eurasia. And here we look where is that Bering Strait present. So if you look here, this is Russia, this is USA, this is Arctic Ocean, and this is what? Pacific Ocean. So both of them, they are connected by Bering Strait. Okay, Bering Strait. Important point. Okay? Important point. So here lithosphere and hydrosphere are over. So next we shall discuss about atmosphere. We shall discuss about atmosphere. Here we shall discuss about atmosphere. So atmosphere, it provides us with the air we breathe, that is oxygen, and protect us from the harmful effects of sun's rays. So there are many rays which are radiate out of sun and which are harmful for us. Example, ultraviolet ray. So we get protection from these ultraviolet rays because of the ozone layer which is present. So again, ozone, it's part of atmosphere. In this way, atmosphere plays a very important role. Okay, very important role. So here we shall look into the various different layers of atmosphere. So atmosphere approximately it runs to up to a height of 1600 kilometer. So it is divided into 5 layers based on composition, temperature, etc. So here at the superficial level we will be discussing about the various layers. So the layer where we are presently, so this layer is called as troposphere. So the bottommost layer is troposphere. Okay, troposphere. So after that we have next stratosphere. Second layer is stratosphere. Next mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere. Okay, exosphere. So troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere. So what does the atmosphere consist of? We know that it consists of gases. But here out of curiosity we need to know which is a dominant gas which is present in the atmosphere. So nitrogen is a dominant gas. So close to 78% of the atmosphere is filled with nitrogen. Second most dominant gas is oxygen. So 78 plus 21. So close to what? 99. So hardly 1%, remaining 1% we have carbon dioxide, argon and other gases. Okay, other gases. So we know that oxygen is the breath of life. So without oxygen, life would have not been possible on Earth. Next, whether nitrogen is important? Yes, nitrogen is also very important gas. So without nitrogen also, lives cannot sustain because it helps in the growth of living organisms. Okay, it helps in the growth of living organisms. Next, carbon dioxide. We know that less than 1%. Okay, less than 1% we have carbon dioxide, but it plays a very important role. Okay, so though present in minute amount is important as it absorbs heat radiated by the earth, thereby keeping the planet warm. Now supposedly if there was no carbon dioxide, then what happens? This is our earth, our sun. So whatever the rays will be coming, so they will be reflecting back, it will be going back. Now what happens? If whatever the energy comes to earth, if it returns back, then no energy will be stored here, no heat will be stored, so earth will become cool. Okay, so what carbon dioxide does is it traps few of the rays, so it traps heat. Because of the trapping of heat, so this region it relatively becomes warm, and we require a moderate temperature. So our temperature is moderate because of the warm climate which we have here, and this warmness we are able to establish because of the presence of carbon dioxide. That's why carbon dioxide, it plays a very important role in sustaining the life. Okay, in sustaining the life. Also, carbon dioxide is essential for plant growths. Okay, so as humans we consume oxygen, but similarly for the photosynthesis and all, so plants require carbon dioxide. Okay, so they consume carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is important for plants growth as well. Next, few of the important points to note. So density of atmosphere. Density of atmosphere varies with height. It is maximum at sea level and decreases rapidly as we grow up. So this is sea level. So as we go to places with higher altitude, so density of the air goes on decreasing. So that is why you might have seen climbers, they experience problems in breathing due to decrease in the density of air. So sometimes climbers, when they are climbing Mount Everest or other places, so as they go to higher places, so they will face breathing problems. Why? Because as they go to higher altitude, the density of air will come down. That is why generally they will carry oxygen cylinders to be able to breathe properly. Okay, able to breathe properly at higher altitudes. So we saw about what? Density. Next, temperature. Temperature also decreases as we go upwards. So from sea level, as we go to higher altitudes, temperature goes on decreasing. Okay, goes on decreasing. Very important point to note. Next, when it comes to pressure, so we know that atmosphere exerts pressure. Okay, atmosphere exerts pressure on earth. So again, pressure, it varies from place to place. Some areas experience high pressure and others low pressure. So what are the reasons for high pressure and low pressure? For time being, we shall not focus on it, but we'll understand that there are certain areas which are called as low pressure. There are certain other areas which are called as high pressure. Okay, high pressure. In this context, the important point to note here is air always moves from high pressure area to low pressure area. Air always moves from high pressure area to low pressure area. So this moving air, we call it as wind. Okay, important point to note here is air always moves from higher pressure to lower pressure, and that we call it as wind. So finally we came to biosphere. So what is biosphere? So biosphere is a narrow zone where there is a contact between land, water and air. So the place where we live in, it is part of biosphere. So all of them, they interact. Hydrosphere, atmosphere, and land, all of them, they interact. So the picture makes it very clear. So this is lithosphere, and here this is hydrosphere, and this is atmosphere. And for the sustenance of life, all these things have to interact. Okay, all these things have to interact. So in this zone, that life that is unique to this planet exists. So only in this zone, okay, life exists. Okay, life exists. So what are the various kind of species that do exist? So they may range from microbes, bacteria, to animals or mammals. So all the living organisms, including humans, are linked to each other and to biosphere for survival. So all the living organisms, whether they are birds or fish or animals, so all of them, they are linked to one another and they are dependent on one another for their survival. So we know that organisms are broadly divided into what? Plant kingdom and animal kingdom. So these things we'll be discussing in a separate video later on. Next, these three domains interact with each other and affect each other in one or the other way. So here are a few examples to emphasize how the domains interact with one another. An example is cutting of trees. So if you cut a tree from forests for needs of wood, may lead to fast removal of soil from slopes. Okay, so now what happens in a forest area? We have trees. So these trees play a very important role. What is that role? Because of the trees, soil erosion will not take place. So whenever there is a rainfall, so soil will not flow along with the water because the roots of these trees will hold the soil tightly. Now if the trees are cut, then trees will be lost, there will be no roots. So whenever rainfall occurs, then along with the rainwater, soil will also flow. So it will lead to soil erosion. So here it indicates that how humans' activities are having an impact on what? One of the domains. Okay. Similarly, natural calamities. For example, if there is a tsunami, then what will be its impact? It will lead to what? Submergence of land. Okay, so land may get submerged. So this is another example. Similarly, discharge of waste material into lakes and rivers. So generally factories and all, they release waste material into what? Water. Okay, lakes and rivers. So when they release it, that water, it becomes unsuitable for human use. It also damages other forms of life. So again, this is an example of how the interaction between the different domains can cause problem. Okay, can sometimes lead to problem as well. Next, similarly, emission from industries, thermal plants and vehicles pollute the air. Next, a very important point to note here. So we all have heard about global warming. Okay, we have made a separate video for global warming. You can refer the same. But which is a dominant gas which is responsible for global warming? Carbon dioxide. But whether carbon dioxide is a harmful gas? No. So carbon dioxide has to be present. Okay, and we already know that how it plays an important role when it comes to warming and keeping the earth moderate to sustain the life. But if the amount of carbon dioxide increases, then it will have a negative impact. What is that negative impact? The average temperature of the earth will increase and that will have a negative impact on life. Okay, so that phenomena is called it as global warming. So why the content of carbon dioxide is increasing? Because of the increasing number of what? Factories and vehicles, etc. Okay, etc. So all these things, what they indicate? This is thus all these things, they indicate that there is a need to limit the use of resources of the earth between the domains of the lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. So it indicates that the resources of the earth, they have to be used wisely so that it should not cause the problem to the sustenance of life on earth. Next, in this context, a few curiosity driven things. So Mount Everest. So who was the first person? So we know that Mount Everest is the highest peak on earth. Who was the first person to scale it? So Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. So he was from New Zealand and he was from India. So they were the first men to climb it in 1953. So UPSC generally does not focus on year and all, in which year they climbed. But out of curiosity, we need to know that it is Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. And also sometimes women related. So especially in mains. So who is the first woman to climb Mount Everest? So Junko Tabe from Japan. Even in mains also, when it comes to women empowerment and all, so while writing your answers, you can quote that females are now no lesser. So Junko Tabe was the first woman to climb Mount Everest. So such kind of things can be quoted in mains. And especially when it comes to India, very important. So Bachendri Pal was the first Indian woman to climb it on 23rd May 1984. Again, date is not important, but we need to know that Bachendri Pal was the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest. So again, this quoting can be very much beneficial from mains point of view. So whenever you quote such kind of statements, then definitely it will add weightage to your answer and will fetch more marks. Okay, fetch more marks. So strait and isthmus. So already we have seen. So what is strait? A narrow passage of water connecting two large water bodies like seas and oceans. So there are two large bodies of water, and if a small narrow water body, if it connects them, then we call it as a strait. So an example is a strait which lies between India and Sri Lanka. So here we have a strait which we call it as Pak Strait. Okay, Pak Strait. Example, Pak Strait lies between India and Sri Lanka. Similarly, when a narrow strip of land joins two land masses, so instead of water bodies, if these are land masses, land mass 1 and land mass 2, and if they are joined by a small land, then such a land we call it as isthmus. Okay, isthmus. And here one such isthmus which is present between, which connects North America and South America, it is called as Isthmus of Panama. Isthmus of Panama. So this was about the major domains of the earth. So in this class we discussed about an important geographical topic. Similarly, in the upcoming classes we will be discussing the important concepts related to UPSC. For all our further updates, subscribe to our channel and hit on the bell icon. Thank you.